Hello everyone and welcome to The Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. If you glance through the Chicago Sun-Times latest editorial page, you should be appalled, at least if you're a Catholic. Plastered all over the page is an editorial by one Father Andrew Greeley. You remember him. He's the priest who writes pornographic novels filled with lurid, detailed, point-by-point descriptions of lustful encounters. That's right, pornographic novels. Kind of made his name authoring lurid literature. Well done, Father. So handsomely was he rewarded for his work that he once donated $1 million to the Archdiocese of Chicago from his immoral gotten gains. The Archdiocese returned the check. Now comes Father Andrew Greeley, this paradigm of virtue, criticizing John McCain, accusing him of racism. What seems to have Father Greeley most upset is that Sarah Palin whips up crowds to the point of supporters yelling, "Kill Obama, kill Obama, kill Obama." Father, no she doesn't. And by the way, where was your article anytime during the last 8 years denouncing comedians who did stand-up routines and journalists who routinely made cracks about assassinating George Bush? Or were you too busy putting the finishing touches on your latest sex novel to notice? So let's get this right. Father Greeley is shocked and angered that a politician would use racism to encourage people in a crowd to want to kill a man when every day politicians use speeches and support legislation that actually does kill people. 4,000 every day, Father, 4,000 every day. Where's your editorial about that? Where's your editorial about Obama's support of letting survivors of abortion die silent deaths? Where's your editorial about Catholics voting for the most ardent, strident supporter and defender of slaughtering children when a pro-life alternative is on the ballot? Still busy writing your steamy sex scenes, Father? How pathetic. This paragon of social justice, tolerance, and non-judgmentalism then spends the last couple of paragraphs denouncing McCain for looking down on a black man running for president. How insightful. Father Greeley, a priest, then somehow mysteriously reads John McCain's mind and tells us what his every thought is about the black man. Father Greeley concludes that John McCain is obviously a racist and a man with no honor. He arrives at this conclusion in part by saying, quote, "He does not talk to him," referring to McCain and Obama at a debate. "He will not shake hands with him. He will not even look at him," end quote. He says McCain, quote, "treats his rival like a field N-word who is just barely human," end quote. This is a piece of hypocrisy on the part of Father Greeley that must be exposed. I traveled to Rome in April of 2005 for Pope John Paul's funeral. I secured the last available room in a hotel I had just stayed in a few months before. As I was checking in, I noticed a man standing right beside me at the counter, and he looked familiar. Now, it'd been a long flight from Detroit, and as you know, people get tired when they get off planes. I was tired too, and he may have been also, and I may say I may have stared a little too long at him. Suddenly, the man, who was dressed as a priest, shot back at me. He said, "What are you looking at?" It was a very brusque, demeaning, decidedly unchristian way of talking to someone for the first time. I responded, "I'm sorry, Father, you just looked familiar to me and I couldn't place you." He responded, without looking at me, that I should recognize him. Just then, it occurred to me, as you've probably guessed, the priest was Father Greeley. He barely spoke to me, except in condescending tones. He most certainly did not extend his hand to me as we both stood there waiting at the counter for the clerk, and he cast only a glance in my direction to give me the evil eye and then quickly looked away again. Do those actions sound familiar, Father? This is the same behavior you accuse John McCain of, except what you find despicable in a politician, you're willing to excuse in a priest, especially when you're the priest. Look, I'm a big picture guy. I can't help it. It's how I see the world. So forgive me, Father, for I have concentrated on the big picture here. You are a priest, a man who is a walking image of Christ in the world. You write sex novels. You have never, as far as I can tell, written one editorial strictly on the evil of abortion per se. You blast the sin of what you perceive to be racism, and you ignore the fact that 1/3 of all abortions performed in this country are performed on black babies. Talk about racism. Then you pass judgment on a war hero by examining his body language at debates. You do all kinds of things. And you conclude he has no honor. I'm not sure which words that flow from your pen are more reviling, Father, your condemnation and judgment of a politician who supports a pro-life stance, or the grist you produce for the sexual fantasies of your readers. Barack Obama will continue the slaughter of innocent children. In between your sex scenes and judgmental editorials, can't you spare a few drops of ink to spill in their defense? Come November, remember Obama, soft on terrorists, but tough on fetuses. I'm Michael Voris.